The markers stretch across the grounds in long, clean rows. White crosses, stars of David, perfectly aligned as far as you could see. Most of these men were 18, 19, 20 years old. Some of them had been in France only for a few weeks before they were killed. But here's what I wasn't expecting. The French were there, hundreds of them. Families with children, elderly couples who had clearly done this before, many times before, local officials and school groups, military leaders from both countries, a ceremony that felt genuinely significant, not performed. These people came because they wanted to, because more than 90 years after those Marines died in that wood, the French still remember what it cost. They still show up. I stood there in my uniform and I couldn't say anything for a long time. You know, we use the phrase showing up pretty casually, just show up. Half the battle is showing up. It sounds like the minimum requirement, the low bar. But standing in that cemetery, I started thinking about it differently. Those 2,289 men didn't just show up in a cemetery. They showed up when their country called them. They crossed an ocean. They walked into a wood that was defended by machine guns. They showed up fully with everything they had, including their lives. And the French families who drove out on a Monday morning to stand in the sun and bow their heads, they showed up too. Not because anyone required it, because they understood that some things deserve to be witnessed, that presence is a form of honor. Showing up isn't the minimum. Sometimes it's the whole thing. Those of us who grew up in the 60s and 70s were raised by people who understood this. The greatest generation, our parents, our grandparents, they didn't have a language for showing up. They just did it. You went to work even when you didn't feel like it. You came to your neighbor's funeral even when you barely knew them. You stayed in the marriage when it got hard. You raised the kids even when you were exhausted. You served when you were called. Nobody called it dignified. It was just what you did. But it was dignified. Profoundly so, because dignity isn't something you feel. It's something you demonstrate, and you demonstrate it through presence, through reliability, and through being the person who was there. Here's the honest question. Did we carry that forward? I don't ask that as a criticism. I ask it because I've had to ask it of myself. There have been moments in my life, relationships, responsibilities, hard conversations where showing up was exactly what was needed, and I found ways to be somewhere else, physically or emotionally. Oh, our generation inherited something real from the people who raised us, a model of faithfulness, of presence, of doing the thing even when it costs you something. The question is what we did with it, and more importantly, what we're doing with it now, because we're not done yet. After Aisne-Marne, I visited others. Henri Chapelle in Belgium, Lorraine in France, the Netherlands American Cemetery, the Montsec Monument, Saint Mihiel, each one different, each one the same, rows of white markers, names of men who were young once, who had mothers who loved them, who had no idea when they left home that they wouldn't be coming back. What strikes you when you stand in enough of these places is the sheer accumulation of it. The decision to show up, made over and over again by hundreds of thousands of ordinary people who simply answered when they were called. But here's something most Americans don't know. Those cemeteries don't maintain themselves. The American Battle Monuments Commission oversees 26 American cemeteries and monuments in 16 countries. Their superintendents live on site. They know the names. They know the stories. They show up every single day to make sure those markers stay white, those grounds stay immaculate, and those men are never forgotten. And then there are the local people in communities across France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and beyond. Ordinary citizens have adopted American graves. They research the soldier buried there. They learn his name, his hometown, his family. They lay flowers on his marker. And when that soldier's family travels from America to find him, sometimes 3 or 4 generations later, there is a local person waiting to meet them, to tell them what they know, to say in whatever language they share that he was not forgotten here. That's not a program. That's not a requirement. That's a choice made again and again by people who understand that some things deserve to be witnessed. There's a dignity in that accumulation that words struggle to hold. The ride home from Aisne-Marne was quiet. All 4 of us. Nobody said much. There wasn't much to say. So what does this have to do with any morning in your life? Maybe everything, maybe nothing. That's for you to decide. But I think there's something worth carrying out of this episode, a question worth sitting with. Where are you being called to show up right now? And are you showing up fully? Not heroically, not perfectly, just there, present, reliable, the person who came. It might be a relationship that needs your attention, a responsibility you've been putting off, a hard conversation you've been avoiding, someone who needs you to simply be in the room. The men at Aisne-Marne didn't have the option of deciding it was inconvenient. Most of us do, which means for us, showing up is a choice, and that choice made consistently is what dignity looks like in ordinary life. Memorial Day started as a day to honor the dead, but I think it's also a day to ask something of the living, not to be heroes, just to show up for the people who need you, for the commitments you've made, for the life you're still in the middle of living. That's the inheritance. That's what they left us. Don't waste it. I'm glad you're here. Let's keep finding the extraordinary in the ordinary together. I'll see you on the next watch.